Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mick Bighamian, director of the Los Angeles Chess Club. And as part of our series of Tuesday Night Advanced Lecture, this is the month of July 2018, and the topic for this month is Art of Defense. So what is customary is that I go over a couple of famous games in history that great players, grandmasters, world champions have played, that they exhibited a great deal of defense and saved difficult or lost positions, or it may even have won. So these games that I have are a collection of best games from best players. First game I'd like to show you is one by David Bronstein against Tigran Petrosian. Tigran Petrosian was such a great defensive player that he had a nickname among great players and world champions. Iron Tigran. So imagine when he played Fischer in a match, and Fischer was a ferocious attacking player, that match was dubbed as irresistible attack against immovable object. So guess who eventually won? Fischer. Attack always pays off in chess. So David Bronstein is white in this game. This was played in a tournament in Tbilisi in 1963. It was King's Gambit, e4, e5. As you know, Petrosian typically plays Caro-Kann defense. So what led him on this occasion to play e5 against e4? I have no idea. My guess is that he was expecting Bronstein to play King's Gambit, and maybe he had a prepared variation. So e4 to e5, f4. Officially, this is called King's Gambit. White is gambiting a pawn on the king's side half of the board. So black takes, which he did. It's called King's Gambit accepted. Black accepted the pawn. So the usual continuations are either knight f3 or bishop c4. Both are perfectly playable. Bronstein played knight f3. Black got into difficulties in this game because he kind of misplayed the opening. For example, there are several continuations by black. One of the most active ones is called d5 variation. White plays e5, or he takes, and black play. If white takes, black plays bishop d6. So that's one very active good line for black. But black played knight f6 in this game. This move is not as active, but it does have its points. White pushed, and black played knight h5. So black seems to be trying to hold on to this pawn, the gambit pawn. White to play queen e2. At first, this move looks bad. Generally, you don't put the queen in front of your king, and especially in front of your bishop. So this move, it does have its points, though. The point being that white is already thinking of castling long after getting these two pieces out, and then launch an attack on black's center and king side. So black played bishop e7, very unpretentious move. And white played d4, and black castled. So whose position do you like so far from everything you know about chess?
Black.
Okay. Because he's Petrosian, or black because
he's castled.
Okay, Mitch likes people who castle early. There is a saying in chess, castle early and often. So it's a good idea to castle. Let's see how white continues. It's white to play g4. This move must have come as a surprise to Petrosian. What is black's only option here?
Take en passant.
He must do en passant. Otherwise, he's going to lose the knight. So black played pawn takes pawn. And white to play h takes g3. So at first, it seems that this is a horrible position for white. Sure enough, black played knight takes g3, forking the majors. White played queen h2, threatening mating 1, and black played knight takes rook. And of course, it's white to play now. Notice what has happened in the game so far. We already know where black king lives, on the king side of the board. How many times this knight has moved on the black side? 3, 4. several black pawn moves, e5, e takes f4, f takes g3. So black has not touched his entire queen side yet. Yes, he's ahead in material so far, but from this point on, white will launch a ferocious attack against the black king. It's white to play, and he could of course take this knight, but this knight is not going to go anywhere. No reason for that. Bishop d3, threatening mate in one again. And what should black do? He played g6 to stop the mate. And white played queen h6. He doesn't even bother to take the knight. What is his threat with queen h6? Knight g5, and if bishop takes, bishop takes. So on queen h6, it's black to play. How can black defend? And black knows what's coming. From this moment on, I'll ask you guys to guess black's moves, because black played fantastic from this point to the end of the game. f6 is probably the most obvious move, and it's a good one too, and that defends the mate.
So king h8.
Trouble with f6 is that white may play bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and white has perpetual check. So black is playing for a win. Black played d5. This move doesn't seem to address what's coming, right? It's white to play. What should he do? Bring more pieces out. Knight c3. It's interesting that it gives a chance to black play knight here, followed by here, and try to defend the king side. And black does just that. Knight g3. So when you play like this, what's the material balance, by the way? Black is a whole rook ahead. When you play like this, you really have to have a plan on how to continue from this point to the end of the game. Because you are a whole rook down, and if you expect to win, you should have a good plan. It's white to play. He played knight g5. So what is black's absolute only move? Bishop must eliminate. Of all the pieces that may come to your half of the board, knight is the trickiest. You must be eliminated. So black played bishop takes, and sure enough, white played bishop takes. What is black's only move here? White is threatening bishop here, and that'll be the end of the game. So he must play f6. So white to play. White played bishop takes g6. That's the move black was waiting for. For black to touch the f-pawn, bishop takes h6, g6. The number one rule when you're trying to defend a difficult position is not to panic. If you don't panic, then you find some good moves eventually in the position. So black played queen e7, which at first seems to be a bad move, because it drops this pawn too. But black knew this. He played knight takes. Remember, black is a rook up, so even if he gives up a piece, he still may come ahead. Queen g7. So that's pretty much the end of white's attack, or is it? It's white to play. What should he do? He played bishop takes f6 exclam. What happens if black plays queen takes queen? 97 checkmate. If queen takes queen, 97 mate. Nice. So black cannot take the queen. So what should black do? Rook takes. Forced and good. So what do you think Petrosian should do now? I mean Bronstein, white. He surprised Petrosian. He played bishop takes check. Now, of course, black should not play queen takes because of knight check and winning the queen. One surprise after another. So what is black's only move? There's a little problem with king f7. What's the problem with this move? Black will play, white will play. What does white would do on queen there? Bishop g8, king takes. And then knight takes check. And king f7. That was possible. In the game, black played king h8. That looks like a reasonable move too. It's white to play. Now he played queen takes, queen check. And of course, black takes. And e takes f6, check. So black captured another pawn. What's the material balance now?
Black is 2 pieces ahead.
There's a saying in chess, when you're attacking, you don't count pawns. Just focus on the attack and checkmate. But still, when there is not a forced win or checkmate, like in this case, you ought to keep track of material. See who is ahead by how much. So white only has a rook and a knight. Black has rook and a knight and a bishop and another knight. Black is 2 pieces up. So pretty much the storm has settled. Now you got to capture as much material as possible. Knight takes pawn. Black is trying to quickly get his pieces out, develops a piece, threatening to defend the rook, threatening this pawn. Knight c6, this is his only chance to take the rook. And black played knight takes d4. So we have a very unbalanced position. White has a rook and a knight. Black has bishop, knight, and a knight. 4 pawns to 2 pawns. Very unbalanced position. White castled long, defending the c2 pawn, attacking the knight. And black played bishop f5. Threat is knight takes pawn, and if white plays rook takes knight, knight check wins the rook. Nice developing move. And with this move, black offered a draw. Why did black offer a draw in this position? Because chances are white will play c3 here, right? What can black do? He can give it a check here, followed by king here. So my guess is that black was not in the mood for continuing this game, which with best result, it could actually be a draw. So the fun is over. Black offered draw with bishop f5, and white took it. But it showed how Petrosian beautifully defended in a really wild position with a rook down and managed to get a draw.